What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, where today we are once again working on the budget TJ build. Starting to get close to the point of being done with the budget portion of this, and unfortunately it's been rainy, it's been snowy, so we're kind of stuck in the garage doing installs. Can't wait to get this thing out on some trails just to see what it can do, see how all the parts hold up. And also, when the weather breaks a little bit, we'll start working on the Challenger build. You can see I got a ton of parts for it, so I'm excited to get started on that. But for now, we're going to be installing these tube fenders from EAG. And these are about 220 bucks, so, pretty budget friendly. And what it'll do is give us a little bit of protection and a lot more clearance than that stock fender. And the way we do this is you can buy some and they're a bit more expensive. We actually replace the whole fender, but in this one you actually cut around and then this will lay on top. And in order to do that, we will first start by taking off this fender flare, and then we're going to make a template in that shape so that we know where to start cutting. And I'll show you everything that comes with it. Obviously, two fenders, some detailed instructions, which is nice, especially when you're buying cheaper parts. You don't always get the best instructions. And then hardware as well. So let's get started first by removing these lights and taking off this fender flare. Alright, so we're underneath the fender and we have this light here and then also this light here. You just twist and remove just like any other. Same with this one. If you look along the top, you actually have quite a few 8mm bolts with plastic nut on the back, which I have vice grips on there, and then obviously a wrench. So kind of hard to do one-handed, so I'll remove that and then we'll come back whenever we got the fender off. Alright, so now that we got the fender flare removed, it calls for us to remove the hood latch, which if you look under here, get a good angle, you have a nut right there and then it pops out the top. And then also we'll get this harness out of the way, and then you have three 13mm bolts that you're supposed to remove. And then if you come over here, there's actually 4 of them, 13mm as well, that we'll remove. And then once we're done getting all that off, we will make a template, lay it out on here, tape it off, and start cutting. Okay, now that we got all the hardware removed and the hood latch removed, I made a template, and I just based my template off of the top plate on here. We'll compensate a little bit just for the tube, and it's welded about halfway on, so we'll come in a little bit inside here after I mark it. And one thing you want to be careful of is not to cut underneath. There's a bracket which holds your hood latch. You don't want to cut that off because otherwise you won't have anything to mount it to. And then also you want to be careful once you start getting down here. The lip, you'll need a little bit and it'll start to get tight over here. And the fender actually rests on top, and that's what gives it some stability. So make sure you're not cutting too much of that off. But we will mark everything, start our cuts, and come back whenever it's time to test fit the fender. I got the fender cut off. I did run into a little bit of a problem which I wanted to address, and it's not shown in the instructions, but this brace right here and about an inch of this inner fender will not let this tube fit, so obviously we won't be flush unless we cut that piece out. But we'll get that done and then we'll slap the fender on and finish out the installation. Alright, so I was finally able to get the fender placed. Wasn't the easiest process, just getting everything to line up, but you can see it looks pretty awesome. and also you got a lot more clearance. Show you guys that. And then now normally what you would do is drill your 5 holes and then run the hardware through there and then drill for your latch, but I think I'm going to go with an aluminum latch, so I'm going to hold off on that. And then also the turn signal down here, the wire actually got damaged. It's really thin, so I want to get something a little more rugged so that way we don't have any problems in the future. But overall, you guys get an idea of what it takes to do this install. So hopefully this was helpful. As always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and stay tuned for more on the Budget TJ build.